Hello, welcome to the MNB World. Today in the studio we have Mr. Tim Vanroelen, Chief Executive Officer of Sainshand Salkhin Park, and Dr. Oliver Schnorr, Board Member of Sainshand Salkhin Park, to talk about the biggest wind park in Mongolia, Sainshand Salkhin Park, or SSP. So congratulations to both of you for successfully launching the SSP last year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And also thank you very much for accepting my invitation for the interview.
It's our pleasure to be here.
So how did the idea of establishing the biggest wind park in Mongolia came into reality?
Since I'm a little bit longer with the project, Tim, if you do not mind, I will take over. Thanks again to having us. Yeah, there is one important gentleman missing today, our good old Mongolian friend, still also shareholder in Sainshand Wind Farm, Mr. Davanyam, because Mr. Davanyam was the one who created the idea, the vision to build a wind farm in Sainshand because it has extraordinary wind conditions. And so I think the first idea came in 2007 even, when he started it, make the first little investigation, and brought it to a stage where he was looking for investors to help him to raise the funds to make his dream then really coming true. So in the same time, I'm here since 8 years already as an investor. We were looking as a Ferrostar group into investing in renewable energy projects. So I was screening the photovoltaic, the solar market, and also the wind market. And then I get in touch with Mr. Davanyam. We talk here about 2000, end of 11, end of 12, beginning of 12. And I was very, very amazed about his serious approach which he had. It was a non-political approach as well. It was a good project, very thoroughly thought through. So we finally bought the majority of this project development company. And from there on, we make new wind measurements and develop that project to financial closing. And in that time, we invited our friends from ENGIE, which is one of the biggest power producers in the world, to join us in this $120 million project. It's a quite huge project. And had then financial closing in August 2017, and like you mentioned that, and thank you very much for that, we reached mechanical completion. That is more or less when our main job is done in August last year. So this is a little bit the view of the history of the development and the financial closing.
Mm-hmm. 11 or 12 years later,
Yes.
It opened.
Yeah, I always try, I know Mongolia quite well. I by myself had 5 ministers of energy, 6 heads of agency or from the dispatcher over the grid companies. I think Davanyam maybe 8 or 9 ministers. So that is one of these obstacles as well, that you always have to re-explain the project, get new permissions done. But on the other hand, we were also lucky because that project was very well supported also from the politicians. But it took time but that is not only in energy. Unfortunately, the changes of government in every part of the industry is a little bit a challenging topic.
As it's a huge project, I understand. You
Yes.
know, something great always comes after great obstacles, right?
That's true.
Yes.
That is true.
So now, since it launched, how many people are working there? Like,
Yes, so during the construction, at our peak, we had 400 employees working on site, which is excluding the engineers and planners and also administrative staff that works on the project in the home offices of the various contractors and of us. Mainly, we had Mongolian employees. At site, we had never more than 20 non-Mongolians present. Yeah, so from that point of view, we were very happy that we had our Chinese contractor who took very well into account the need to create opportunities for Mongolians here with our project. Currently, we are in operation since several months now, and we have around 30 direct people employed by us, mostly employed in Sainshand, living in Sainshand. and
Locals.
Indeed. And so tangent to that, there is also some indirect employment with regards to food, to cleaning, to the people living there, etc.
Service.
Yeah, indeed, correct.
So, as you said, it's been several months. It opened. So, when will it be fully operational? When is it expected to be fully operational with all the 25 turbines together, working together, and where exactly the energy would be exported to the 100,000 families? In which region? That's what I heard. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. There is, of course, different phases which you have to run through, because it is a big one. It is more or less 5% of the whole energy production of whole Mongolia we are doing in wind. So the mechanical completion that we said, okay, the project is finalized, it's done, it's completely constructed, safe, and if you allow me, we are very proud that we have close to 800,000 hours of working hours there with zero accident. This is, I think, always the most important part. You must see that we work sometimes on heights of 120 meters. So we are very, very grateful and thankful that nothing happened due to very good management, also from our CEO Tim, down to construction, but down to the last cleaner. We are very, very proud of that. And if I may say that as well, we are 2 months ahead of planning, so also very strong management, very good planning. So we achieved mechanical completion in August, and then of course you have different phases to run through, because then the technical mission, which consists of the Ministry of Energy and of the related agency, has to come, has to check. We have to connect then the wind farm to the grid, to the national grid. There's a substation in Sainshand where we have to put it in. And then the State Commission is coming and taking another look whether the Technical Commission did the job in a perfect way. And finally, you get the generation license that you are officially now a power producer. This is all these steps which, from mechanical completion up to that you really get paid for your produced energy. But to answer your question correctly, fully operational we are since the middle of November, when the last turbine was tested and feeded in the grid. The second part of your question was
in which region you are providing energy to 100,000
exactly.
families.
That was also one reason why we choose Sainshand. Sainshand is a developing area. Not about the Sainshand industrial complex. I don't want to talk about what that one, but there are mines in that region. There are cement plants in the region. So we are not the one who decide that, because in the moment when we feed in the grid, then the National Dispatching Center, which is our client, decide where to go. Now, obviously, it will be to feed the households as well in that area. But there are not 100,000 households, of course. We believe it mostly stay in that area or south, which can even go direction Oyo-Tolgoi. But in that region, we believe south, because if we go north, we lose too much on the grid.
Okay, so where would you provide the energy would be decided by the national...
By the dispatcher, by the National Dispatching Center.
So as it's a wind park, please tell me about the ecological advantages and the disadvantages. I'm very interested about that.
Yes, let me start with the disadvantage. Mainly in this kind of industrial project, the discussion always goes with regards to the bird and the corresponding nesting of birds. This is something that has been analyzed in detail before we could start the project last year. Because given we are working with international investors, international banks, to get to financial close, which allowed us to start construction, we also needed entirely approved environmental studies by our lenders as well as by the authorities. And so during these studies, there has been a long analysis on how our wind park was going to influence the environment next to around the park, and in particular what is going to happen with birds. So from that point of view, the study concluded that a priori there's no impact or a limited impact, and the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Now here, in terms of advantages, it's renewable energy, so there is no CO2 emission to get this energy flowing into the grid and to get this energy to the consumers. And this is because the wind blows for free without emitting anything. On top of that, if you look at also relatively versus the other main generation sources in Mongolia, there is also a saving with regards to water consumption.
Yes.
So as we said before, currently we have now 30, an operation team of 30 employees, of which around 28, so most of them are based in Sainshand, and this is for the coming 20 to 26 years, yes.
Mm-hmm. And what are the future concrete plans for the project, except that what we talked about? We pretty much talked about financial.
Yeah, because it's a project company, so the project is the aim. We have a PPA that stands for Power Purchasing Agreement, so that the government agency has to take the power, and when it's over, then the project is normally over. Now, there are different scenarios international-wise. Either you can prolong the PPA, you can dismantle it, but for the time being, it's a 26-year project, and that is what we will deliver, and then we have to see. In terms of the partners who are involved, we have now, like you know, 3 wind farms operational, Salkhin, Tsoktsetse and Sainshand now. So at the moment I think there is for an additional wind farm no space, because wind is a little bit not stable energy producer, so you need a better grid, which the government is working on. We from our side, from Eurochan and from Ferrostar, we are working on PV projects. We want to invest in photovoltaic projects, and more important maybe even for the country is hydro, because hydro stabilize water power projects, stabilize the grid. So we will continue to work with our partners in the Ministry of Energy and in the agency in renewable energies.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much, Dr. Oliver Schnorr and Mr. Tim Vanroelen, for contributing to the renewable energy industry in Mongolia and establishing the biggest wind park in Mongolia.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.